ask you about your personal life. You know, all of our service needs to be growing out of a heart that loves the Lord and a life that is serving Him and dedicated to Him. As a music director, music minister, what were things that you incorporated into your personal life? And it could be anything, but maybe something that was the most beneficial to your influence at the church with the people you worked with, and your ministry, but in your personal life, what were some things that you incorporated that were the most beneficial?
I'd say that a personal walk with the Lord just really has to be first. And that is not at all to claim that I did that and gave my full heart and attention to the Lord a certain number of hours every day, and you know, to the degree that maybe I thought I should, or I thought somebody else thought I should. But I could honestly say that, yeah, there was a genuine walk with the Lord that, by the way, is stronger now than ever. And out of that, and an interest in music and just having that on your heart, that it kind of becomes an overflow of your personal devotions and experiences that you go through with your congregation. But it's pretty amazing how that if the pastor and the song leader are both spirit-led, how sometimes a song service or a particular song can just go right along with the message. And some churches try to make that happen all the time, and I'm not against that. But it sure is rewarding when the Lord orchestrates that.
Yeah,
So.
it is. It's miraculous, even.
Really? Yeah.
Did you listen to a lot of music?
Oh yeah.
In your day-to-day life?
Mm-hmm. Quite a bit. While other people would listen to sports or preaching if they were really spiritual, I would listen to gospel music, and I had tapes and CDs and on the radio, and people kind of know me around the church for coming down the hallway whistling or humming a tune or whatever. So yeah, it's just always there in me, and sometimes it gets expressed, not necessarily in the song service. So I think that's where singing to the Lord comes in too. In your everyday walk.
Now you were exposed, and maybe you want to say more about this a little bit later, but you were exposed to different men of God who are very musical, and we talked a little bit earlier about Alfred Smith over dinner, and talking about other men who were very musical. Did you ever seek people out who are musical, like maybe there's a college close by, look for people who were skilled in musical ability or things like that? Did you or seek out good books, things like that? Did you ever? Was that a big part of your life, or was that not something that you really did very much?
I didn't really seek that out. I've definitely benefited from those people. We would invite some men of God here, musicians, through the years, and one of them was Brother Alfred B. Smith. There was a man who was a teacher in our college several decades ago named A.T. Humphreys, and you know, he was just a godly man, and that was first in his life. He wrote some good songs. He knew people even a decade or two before him that were back in the Stamps Baxter era. So he'd bring a lot of that heartfelt gospel music our way. One time we invited a man named Vernon Whaley to our church. He's an arranger, and he's not an independent Baptist. And he actually was invited to, kind of on the spur of the moment, to go ahead and preach the Sunday morning service after having presented some music and testimony in Sunday school, a combined Sunday school. And Brother King said, "Why don't you just do the whole service?" And it was spirit-filled.
Amen.
So there's been those times. I read plenty of books about music and on music, and had a library at the church that I turned over to the next guy in that direction. So yeah, I was constantly trying to read and just learn more, you know, because everybody has some areas that they're naturally strong in and some they weren't. Like for me, conducting, when it came time to lead and we were able to develop an orchestra, then I had to incorporate being aware of some instrument players along with the singers. And so I had to read up on that a little bit and study and then practice and make a bunch of mistakes, and God was good.
Amen. And people were patient.
Yes.
That helps a lot.
It surely does.
Now, as far as the ministry aspect of being a music director, you know, as far as actually doing the work, you know, within the four walls, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
What were the things that were most beneficial to you? What types of things did you incorporate into your ministry that were the most beneficial or the most influential in the music ministry? What were some things that you did as far as the ministry was concerned?
Now you mean you're speaking just to the musical side of church ministry?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to branch off of that in a second, because I think music and evangelism can go hand in hand. And I'm not totally convinced that God uses worshiping Him through music as an evangelistic tool, although I think it impresses people when they see heartfelt worship.
Amen.
So there's that side of it. But musically, for me, this may kind of go in another direction towards staff members and music directors and their ministry. Depending on the size and the demands of the musical part of your church, not all music directors have the luxury of spending all their time just doing music and sitting behind the desk and playing songs, and some of that might go according to your strengths too. I'm not a person who likes to sit down and arrange music and do a lot of things in that direction. So there were periods of time in ministry at First Baptist Church where I'd have been lucky to spend 20 or 30% of my overall time doing anything musical. However, as it grew, and by the way, I couldn't probably justify sitting behind a desk just thinking about singing 40 hours a week or whatever.
Right.
But as the music ministry grew, I did find myself spending more time, because there's a junior choir to make some planning and allowance for, and then there's maybe an expanded song service or something special going on. So that's the time element of it. And then other than that, I just had to start in and say, Lord, I know what needs to happen today. Kind of fill my mouth and help it happen, and just get it down on paper to where I was comfortable with it, and to where I felt like that this was something I could buy into if I was sitting out in the pew. Now that kind of sounds a little too consumer oriented, but at the same time, the focus is upon the Lord, and when that comes first, the rest of it will be in place.
Right. The Lord is in our audience,
Mm-hmm.
so we are considering Him. This, did you have a lot of, or did you ever have a day that was focused towards music? I mean,
Yes.
that was an emphasis. Did you ever push for that, or was that something that the pastor wanted? Was a mutual thing? How did those come about?
That was pretty mutual. We'd have specific times when it would be Tuesday, for example, would be a day to go calling or outreach. And then there'd be times, and of course, in church ministry, any number of things can come up, and you respond. And again, Brother Keene used to say, we can't get people to plan their emergencies around our schedule. So there's times when you just drop whatever you're doing and go minister and serve somebody if they're having a heartache or a need in their lives or whatever. So, but yeah, we pretty much, and going by a schedule has proven to be a really wise thing over the years. And you stay focused and you get a whole lot more done.
Okay. If you were looking to have, and I know that you are now available, that you retired from the church, you are available to go places, and I would recommend that you would have Brother Demarest in. He'd be a blessing to you. Who are some men, and I'll put you right at the top of the list, who are some men that you would think that you would seek out to have, and I know I didn't tell you about this, but that you would seek out to have for a special day? If you could pick maybe one or two or three different men that you would invite to maybe come in for a special emphasis on music.
That one I'll have to think on a little bit. Of course, Brother Mike Fox would be nearly at the top of my list. just because I know him so well personally and appreciate him, and the musical talent's obviously there. There's another man. Now, most of the people that I know are going to be somebody that's already full-time in a music ministry somewhere. And so it's not like they're traveling evangelists and they have a lot of ability to go somewhere else.
Okay.
But Kerry Schmidt out at Lancaster Baptist
Okay.
would definitely be a man that I would like to spend lots and lots more time with. And also Brother Brad Borth, I think it is.
Yes, sir.
At Golden State and North Valley Baptist Church. Those are two, and these guys are younger than me. But I could see much value in what they would